look what's on the horizon. Harrison Phillips and David Onyemata are, they're on 1-year deals basically. So they're going to be free agents after this year. So I think this was a future pick. I do not think Darrell Jackson will be playing a lot. He'll probably be an inactive player for much of the year. It's essentially a redshirt year for him. He is a massive guy. I mean, he is just a big dude. He's got 11-inch hands. He's got an 86-inch wingspan. I mean, that's like a Patrick Ewing kind of wingspan. He's an interesting guy. He was only I'm just reading off my notes here. He was 200 pounds as a high school junior. Then he got up to 340 by his last year in college.
My goodness.
He's just a big dude who's very strong, who needs a lot of refinement. But like I said, I think this is a redshirt year for him. It's a future pick where the position a year from now will look different than it does now.
I look at starting with him and then obviously with the safety out of Kansas State. Like I went into that day saying, all right, developmental quarterback, safety at some point, interior offensive line, obviously a guard, check. And I know we'll get back to the quarterback. With Jackson, I was kind of stunned about the quarterback, but I was also really surprised with Jackson. I walked into a diner. We were in Staten Island. My son had a baseball game, and it was right after it. And literally, just we sat down before the eggs and the pickles and the coleslaw. But before the eggs came, it was literally the Jets pick right away. My son's like, "Oh, what do you?" I said, "I don't." That position really surprised me. I could even justify moving up 18 slots for a quarterback that a lot of people don't really think that they should have moved up 18 slots to get as a better move than Jackson, especially when you tell me that now he could be wrong, but that he's going to be a redshirt for the most part, just take a pass and watch. Like, that's like 6th round stuff. I don't want a 4th round pick for a team that won 3 games, not really having much of a chance to suit up. I don't think that they had that luxury, and it's not so much the player, it's more what they have, other stuff they needed. That one surprised me.
I wanted an interior offensive lineman there. I know they ended up taking one later, but there were some guys I thought it would have made some sense for the New York Jets there. Sam Hecht, who ironically ended up going in the same spot that the Jets originally owned with the Bengals with that trade they made for Klubnik. He was the center out of Kansas State that I know a lot of people seem to like. So there were some guys I thought could have made some sense there for the Jets. I don't really even dislike the Darrell Jackson Jr. pick. I just think they didn't need to then trade up for Cade Klubnik. I get it. He's a quarterback, and maybe, Rich, you've heard their teams that were definitely going to take Cade if the Jets didn't make the move. But I think the Jets could have just sat where they were at 128, and they would have been able to draft Cade Klubnik with that pick.
Yeah. One more thing on the Jackson thing. I think the old George Young, the former Giants GM, he called it the planet theory. There's only so many people on this planet who are that big, who can run around and play football. And I think Darrell Jackson Jr. falls into that category. So I think, maybe – I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. I was thinking more down the road. I did have a problem with the Klubnik pick. I thought that was a reach. I think a lot of talent evaluators had him more as a 6th or 7th round guy. I think they feared that someone was going to take him right there in the 4th round. Now, interestingly enough, they jumped right ahead of Denver. So I'm thinking, maybe would Denver take him as a possible backup? And it turns out Cade Klubnik's college roommate last year at Clemson was Caleb Nix, the younger brother of Bo Nix. So maybe Denver thinks they have a little inside intel there on the player. They kind of fall in love with the player. They need a backup for Nix, for Bo Nix. So maybe the Jets thought, Muji probably had some information from his old team, Denver. So that's why they moved up. Otherwise, I can't see. I just thought he was like a 6th or 7th round pick. And the Jets, this is a Frank Reich pick. Frank Reich fell in love with him. We went down there. He worked him out. He spent a lot of time with him. They had good interviews with him. And the Jets felt like if we don't get this quarterback now, there's a big drop-off until the next quarterback. And so that's why they went ahead and did it.
The Jets Collective is presented by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app made simple. Just pick more or less on your favorite players' projections and build your lineup in seconds. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And Prize Picks is already offering NFL futures, including futures for New York Jets players. Take a look at the lineup that you see on the screen. Garrett Wilson, more than 4.5 reception touchdowns. David Bailey, he's going to have at least 7 sacks his rookie year. Arvell Reese, almost a Jet. I think he'll have at least 3 sacks in his rookie year with the Giants. That is a 3-pick power play, $10 to pay out $60. That is just an example of some of the lineups you can make over at Prize Picks. Make your own lineups today for any sport. Just download the Prize Picks app, use the code HMA, and get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup.
We all agreed they needed a developmental quarterback, so nobody's pushing back on the concept. It's about the player, okay? And I get it. I mean, last year he stunk. The year before he was phenomenal. Even as a freshman, he was the ACC championship game as a MVP. The year after that, he started all 12 or 13 games. He's played a lot of football. And everything that we read, and Rich, you talked about this as well, like there was a connectivity on the mental part of the game. Like they liked the way he processed the board, the way he spit back, concepts and like the brain and all that other stuff. Yeah, I mean, do I wish he was 6'3", 235 instead of 6'2", 209? Sure. But hey, listen, it wasn't like 2 or 3 moves. When you jump 18 slots, you're telling me you don't like him, you love him. And if this was a different regime, if this was McCagnon or this was Idzik, I would say, no, what the hell are we doing here? Muji, not blind optimism, but enough faith and enough equity with me. And I think a lot of Jet fans would say, okay, little unconventional, but I'm going to trust you on this one. I don't have a problem with it.
I texted a scouting source from another team as soon as the Jets made this pick, and I'm going to read you right from the text that he sent me on his Klubnik scouting report. He said, put together a quality 24 season statistically, but doesn't have a particularly strong arm and has a skinny type build. He was way overhyped as a potential first-round quarterback for this year. He came back to earth this season, but Clemson also had a lot of injuries at the skill position, and his production suffered. He did persevere and finish the season all the way through in a cold bowl game at Yankee Stadium. He showed a lot of grit, resolve, and determination this year. He comes from a wealthy family, so there's always been a question about his leadership and whether he felt entitled or not. He said he's probably a backup. His ceiling is probably as a backup or a quality number 3 guy in your classroom. So that was one scout's opinion. He's a good athlete. He's 6'2". His arm strength is okay.
Yeah.
Accuracy. He's known for his accuracy. Even he said that on our Zoom call. He goes, I make my money with my accuracy. And so he went through a lot at Clemson. He had a fantastic year 2 years ago. Last year wasn't a good year. And the Jets are betting on his past performances, and they see some upside, and they needed a developmental guy. So you just hope he's not the next James Morgan.
Yeah, well, God almighty, Morgan. Yeah, that's a good call. Wow. I think he was a 4th-round pick, Morgan, right? I mean, no matter who they took as a developmental quarterback, Drew Aller, Nussmeier, I mean, there'd be criticisms. Oh, he doesn't do this. He doesn't see the big arm, but he doesn't know what's in front of him, doesn't process well. Listen, it seemed, and I know I keep saying this, right? Muji seems to have a clear feel for what he wants. And when you're that aggressive, like the certain traits and non-negotiable characteristics, when you're that proactive and you go up and get somebody, I'm not going to bang on it right now. I mean, we all know they needed to get a quarterback to maybe eventually become the number 2 down the road. Why can't it be this kid? I think it could be.
Well, the way I look at it is I was never going to criticize them for any chance they took on the 3rd day of the draft of that position. If you just go back and look, I mean, everyone will bring up, oh, well, what about Dak Prescott or Kirk Cousins or Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy?
Tom Brady.
Like you could come up with the historic outlier, but for all those guys, now start naming all the other ones as you look through year after year at these guys that amount to nothing, including the great James Morgan, who Rich was kind enough to bring up already in this episode. So there's just so many examples of that. So if Frank Reich really liked Klubnik and Bill Musgrave, who's got a ton of experience, really liked Klubnik, and Muji, who played quarterback in college before Kevin O'Connell, his roommate, beat him out and Muji converted to be a wide receiver. If they all liked Klubnik, did I like them not burning a fourth, but did I like them moving up and trading away the 4th they got in the Ponds trade down to do it? I didn't love it, but I'm also not going to freak out over it, and it's not going to dramatically impact my feeling that the Jets crushed it the first 2 days of this draft, which they had to do, and that's way bigger than taking a dart throw on a project quarterback who in all likelihood is not the long-term answer. If he develops into a long-term backup, that's a win for a 4th-round pick.
Fair. Real quick, guys. I don't mean to talk too much, but I don't want to lose this point because I know we're going to move on. To me, yeah, there's an overwhelming amount of evidence there. 4th, 5th, 6th round quarterbacks. Oh, let's take a flyer. Never works out. I get it. But and I'd love to see a detailed study on this. Think about the teams that are always throwing darts, trying to find that guy in the 4th or the 5th round. They're generally bad franchises with unstable coaches and bad offensive lines. We can't quantify the amount of quarterbacks who didn't make it because of the wrong situation, but we know that matters. And I'm not saying that the Jets are the right situation yet, but I think that the context within all those middle to late round quarterbacks that have failed, how many went to bad situations? I would guess many.
Well, I'll throw this in. We talked a lot in the previous episodes about Ty Simpson and his lack of experience, 15 college starts. Well, here at Klubnik, you have a guy who started 40 games at Clemson. So he has played a lot of football. He played at the highest level. He led his Texas team at Westlake High, by the way, where Drew Brees went. Westlake High, undefeated, back-to-back state championships. The first player since Kyler Murray to do that in the state of Texas. We know what the level of football is in Texas.